cancel the motherboard. All right? Thank you. Bye.
Gabriel, we recently certain that I don't need my speaker tonight.
We're beyond reasonably, we know.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna remove it. Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. We began with the Shalom Aleichem in the Siddur on page number 5. A song, a poem, Shalom Aleichem, a hope that we have an understanding within us, and that we greet each and every one with whom we meet and we encounter with words of peace. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Turning to page number 10, Yedid Nefesh, a poem written perhaps about 500 years ago. The first word is Yedid. Yedid is a very powerful Hebrew word. It means more than a friend. It means companion of devotion. Nefesh means soul. So this is a friend devoted with great compassion of the soul to the soul. And I would suggest that tonight we think about Yedid Nefesh, a poem, as referring to hopefully each and every one of us as being a friend of God. How do you and I become a friend of God? Mull that over as we sing the first two stanzas. Yedid Nefesh of Harachamon Mishoch El Ritzonach Yarotz Avdach Kimo Ayam Yishtachave Mohadarach Ki Yerav Lo Yedidutach Mino Fetzuf Vechol Tam Hadur Nae Ziv Olam Nov Shicholat Avotoch Ana Elna Rafana Lach Bir Harot Lach Noam Zivach Az titchazek v'titrape v'hayetalach shichat olam yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai dai yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai dai yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai dai yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yadadai dai 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 yai dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 yada dai 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 dai. On page 11, L'chuna Ranana. L'chuna Ranana, L'Adonai, Nari Alitzur, Yishenu, Nikad Mafanav Bitodah, Bizmirot Nariya Lo, Nikad Mafanav Bitodah, Bizmirot Nariya Lo, Kiel Gadol Adonai, Umelech Gadol Al Kol Elohim, Asher Be'ado Mekerei Aretz, V'toafotarim lo, asher be'ado mechkerei aretz, v'toafotarim lo. On the English side of 11. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands form the earth's deep. Mountain crests, too, are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai who formed us. And on page 12 on the English side. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people in Merivah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. What does that mean? They were in a desert, and the ancestors tried God, they tested God, even though they had seen the 10 plagues, the deliverance from Egypt, crossing the Sea of Reeds. It's not red, that's a typo. Sea of Reeds in Hebrew. Why did the ancestors try and test God? Perhaps because they were in the desert. They were facing some very trying circumstances. And there were people. They were scared. They were thirsty. They were hungry. They had no idea where they were going in the future. The psalm is saying, if only you could have had just a bit more faith. I wonder if that's contributing to why we've been saying this is the first psalm for the past 500 years on Friday night. Can you have just a little bit more faith beyond your own hunger, your own thirst, your own fear, your own concern? Perhaps. Arbim shanakut b'dov ramam to lev of hem v'hem lo yidu drachai asher nishpati v'api im v'von el menuchati. On page number 15, on the English side, on page number 15, those first stanzas. Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad, the many distant lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine. Righteousness and justice secure God's throne. Fire goes before God, consuming besiegers round about. Flashes of lightning illumine the land. The earth watches and trembles. Mountains melt like wax at the approach of Adonai, at the approach of the master of all the earth. The heavens tell of God's righteousness, and all the nations see God's glory. What's going on here? The world itself is singing. The world itself is rejoicing. The world itself is testifying to God's glory, God's creative power. The heavens tell of God's beauty and power. Last night, my wife and I went outside and we watched the last few minutes of the lunar eclipse. Did anybody go out and see the eclipse? The clouds were there obscuring, and then eventually they began to part. Saw this beautiful eclipse, and the clouds obscured, and there was a little bit of a dance, we might say, because the clouds were trying to conceal the eclipse, then they would part, then they would conceal, and so on. We watched it for a number of minutes. This is actually a blessing we have for outstanding wonders of creation. It's Oseh Ma'aseh Vreshit. And it was originally constructed 2,000 years ago to be recited if you saw a shooting star. So I saw an eclipse, and I taught my wife the Hebrew, Oseh Ma'aseh Vreshit. You and I are standing right next to something of an exceptional nature happening across the canvas of the heavens. We're to appreciate that. The heavens speak of God's glory and God's beauty. On page 20. It's the last two stanzas, two lines on the English side. Exalt Adonai, our God, and bow down at God's holy mountain. For Adonai, our God, is holy. This is a message that's been handed down for thousands of years. Pay attention to where you are and see yourself as being right next to God. And with that, we turn to the song sheets. The first song sheet tonight is entitled Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador means in Hebrew from one generation to the next, and I've selected this song because of this phrase. Every single one of us, for thousands of years, has been hearing the message, call out to God in joy, in happiness, in pride, in wonderment, and transmit that message to the next and the next and the next generation. This comes to us from Josh Nelson, a contemporary Jewish songwriter and musician, Ledor Vador.
We are gifts, we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope, we are healing, we are learning to be strong. We are words, we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the
Ledor
last.
Vador, Nagid God Lecha.
Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would walk. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Ledor Vador, Nagid God Lecha. Ledor Vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor Vador, these lips will praise your name. Ledor Vador, Nagid God Lecha. Ledor Vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Ledor Vador, these lips will praise your name.
On page 21, we have Mizmor David. It's in Hebrew called Chavtet, in English, Psalm 29. According to tradition, David wrote this 3,000 years ago. He wrote this song, this psalm, this sung poem for whichever reasons that propel a composer, a musician, a poet to compose any composition. And it was shared and transmitted down 100 generations. And there are different melodies to this. And as we're singing one of a number of modern melodies known for the past 100 to 200 years or so, we can only imagine what was the original melody, or would have been melodies along the way. Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, hishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, kol Adonai b'koach, kol Adonai behadar, kol Adonai shover arazim, vayshaber Adonai et arze halvanon, vayarkidem kemo egel Levanon, v'sirion kemoven re'emim, kol Adonai chotsev lahavot eish, kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, kol Adonai yechol al ayalot, vayechesov yarot, uvehechalo kulo omer kavod, Adonai lamabul yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz lamo yiten, Adonai yavarech et amo vashalom. And this psalm has staying power for a variety of reasons, but I think especially it's that last line. God, and its future tense, will continue and always give to his nation strength, will continue and always bless his nation with peace. In every generation we've been calling out, God, we need strength. Especially now we need peace. Especially now. Most certainly, especially now. On page 23, the first three stanzas, page 25, the last three stanzas of Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shem otif eret velit hila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machashava techila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Mikdash melech ir melucha, Kumitzai mitoch hafecha, Ravlach shevet b'yemei kabacha, V'oyachamol alayechem la, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, V'hayu lim shisa shosayich v'rachaku kol meval ayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimsos chatan al kala lecha dodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela Yamin usmol tifrotzi V'yet Adonai taritzi Al yad ish ben partzi V'nismecha v'nagila Lecha dodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela Boiv shalom materet bala Gam b'simcha u'b'tzahala Tochemunei am segula Boichala Lecha dodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Remain standing. And look at the title on page 27, which reminds us that Friday night and Shabbat morning we sing or meditate or pray this psalm. This psalm is associated with Shabbat. We just stood up because of the last stanza of the Charudi, which calls out from a singing and a poetic and a melodious way of saying, let's stand up. Shabbat's coming to us. We're going to stand up and present ourselves as rising the presence of Shabbat. And now we turn to the Psalm of Shabbat. And if you look at the end of the Psalm of Shabbat on page 28, we stood up because of the Charodi. And we're in the mode of song and poetry in the last two stanzas of the Psalm for Shabbos. Emphasize why we're standing. The righteous flourish like the date palm. See yourself as being as powerful and important and beautiful and essential as a palm tree, which stands up and adds beauty and shade and nourishment. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. The righteous flourish in our God's courtyards. We have been planted in the world for a reason, to add beauty to God's backyard, to add purpose and growth to God's front yard. That's where we're standing. The poetry of the Charudi takes us to the Psalm's last stanza, Psalm Shabbat. Remaining standing, we turn now to the Borchur. On page 39A, facing the Aron, page 39A. Page 39A, the Borchur. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. We are seated. The first English bracha on page 39A. Baruch Atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch Atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Olam V'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. On page number 40, the English bracha on page number 40. With timeless love, you have loved your people, the house of Israel. You have taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai, our God, as we lie down and as we rise up, we shall speak of your laws, rejoicing in the words of your Torah and in your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days, and on them we shall meditate day and night. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people Israel. Ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu la'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema, page 41.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובפניך וכשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Moment to silence, page number 42. On the bottom of page 42, the last three words. Adonai Elohechem emet. And I'm fairly confident that most of us recognize the word emet or emes, which in Hebrew means truth or true, in this case poetically modified or present the idea of truly, but truth or true. If you look at the second song sheet, you have at the top of the page, Ani Ma'amin, and I wish to share a thought. The word emet, which means true or truth, is a very powerful word, and many Hebrew elements come out of the word of truth and true or trueness, including the word faith, including the word amen. Amen, which we're familiar with, is actually a daughter of the word emet. When you and I hear somebody else say a prayer or a bracha, and we haven't said it, what is our Jewish response? Amen. Exactly right. When we're saying amen, we're asserting the truth of what someone else put forth as a message of faith, of hope, of priority. Amen is an abbreviation of I believe. And the next word that emerges from that is ma'amin or ani ma'amin. Some of us know the 13 principles of faith taught by Maimonides, one of the most important rabbis of our history. And if you look at the bottom of this song sheet, you see the phrase in English, I believe with a complete faith in the coming of the Messiah that someday, through work, through shared effort, through devotion, through compassion, with focus, the world is going to be better. The Hebrew for that phrase is Ani Ma'amin. If you look at the first stanza, you see the chorus. Ani Ma'amin, which is related to Emet and Emunah. Ani Ma'amin Be'emunah Shlema B'viat HaMashiach. Ani Ma'amin. Ani Ma'amin. There are a number of different melodies. This is a more contemporary piece, but in a way, it underlies the power of the end of the Shema and the movement towards the Amidah, an assertion of truth and belief. Ani Ma'amin. Can I be with you, hear with you, walk with you, talk with you, only you, one with you, live with you, believe in you. Ani Ma'amin be'emunah shlema b'diyat HaMashiach. Ani Ma'amin. Ani Ma'amin be'emunah shlema b'diyat HaMashiach. Ani Ma'amin. Ma'amin. Ani Ma'amin. Ani Ma'amin. In my heart, one by one, part by part, in my mind, in my soul, with your spirit I am whole. Ani Ma'amin be'emunah shlema b'diyat HaMashiach. Ani Ma'amin. Ani Ma'amin be'emunah shlema b'diyat HaMashiach. Ani Ma'amin. Ma'amin. Ani Ma'amin. Ani Ma'amin. On page 44, Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh. Noratilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokea yam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu v'yamru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov ugalom yad chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai Gaal Yisrael. On page 45 on the English side, looking in the English, at the very top of the page. Hashkivenu Adonai our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Haporei sukat shalom aleinu, V'al kol amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. Top of page 46. V'shamro b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam Beini u'bein b'nei Yisrael ot hi la'olam ot hi li'olam ot hi li'olam V'shamro b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamro b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash, Shavat vayinafash, V'shamro b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam. Chatzi Karash in the middle of page 46.
Yikara v'ikara shmei rabba
Amen.
be'alma divra chirute be'anlich malchute b'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei dachol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach v'olam olam me'omaya Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yidpar v'yidbramam v'yitnaseh Yidhadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei l'kudusha
Brecho.
Ve'ela minko birchata v'shirata
Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'olma v'imeru. Amen. We rise now to the Silent Amida, the traditional text before us, pages 47 through 52, pages 47 through 52, or perhaps an opportunity for us to fashion our own ideas, our own thoughts, our own prayers in silence. Yamida. Our world lost a beautiful life this past week. Dolly Parton. And some of us might be tempted to say we lost a beautiful soul, but I'm not going to say that because Jewish tradition teaches that the soul is eternal. But her life, her presence here in our world is now gone. And we all have obviously been exposed to her touch in a variety of ways. She died at the age of 80. And when I think of the age of 80, I think about it from a Jewish numeric and symbolic perspective. I think of 80 and my first thought turns to 70. And when we say 70 from a Jewish perspective, we should think right away of the multiples 7 and 10. And 10 is one of God's favorite numbers as described. We have the 10 great words. And 7 is definitely one of God's favorite words because the entire universe came to be in coherence, in order, and beauty in 7. So 7 and 10, 70, that must just be the one and only. So now we go back to 7. And I think of 8. We Jews are taught that we circumcise our sons on the 8th day, following Abraham's example. It doesn't say why in the Torah the number 8 is picked. God said so, so Abraham did so. I have my own idea. 8 is more than 7. I figured that out all by myself. 7 is wholeness, completion, perfection. 8 is more than wholeness, completion, perfection. And following my own personal view, therefore 8 and 10, Dolly, is more than wholeness, completion, and perfection. Woman of incredible poverty, 12 children growing up in eastern Tennessee, and they didn't have 2 coins to rub together. Her mother made all of their clothes. We all know the stories. We've heard them in the past week. And she worked her fingers to the bone. And Dolly saw that. And therefore she resolved to work her fingers to the bone. And she made a world-changing example of herself by her devotion to her faith, to her family, to her community, and communities beyond her own community. And we've all learned over the years and recently that she was incredibly generous. She was wealthy. She worked really hard over 70-plus years of career. She donated vast sums of money to children's medical care. She supported a hospital. She established scholarship funds because children should grow and learn and flourish. And we've all seen occasions when there have been disasters, fire and flood in a variety of areas, and she raised funds to support people whom she didn't know because she knew that having prospered, she needed to contribute and give back. And perhaps most best known of all her many philanthropic efforts is the Imagination Library. 30 years ago, she set her mind to create a library. And over the past 30 years, 300 million books have gone out across the U.S. and to some parts of the world. 300 million free books have gone out to over 3 million children because Dolly wanted them to learn to read. Her father couldn't read, and she could not rest until she made a change that literally covered the face of this globe. 300 million books in circulation in the hands of children because she saw her father unable to read. And I'm struck by that. What absolute motivation to make the world better from her heart, from her spirit, from her soul. We all know the name Dolly Parton, but we don't necessarily know the name of Harold Greenspoon. You might know his efforts. Have you ever heard of the PJ Library? It was established 20 years ago, and hundreds of thousands of books have gone out into the hands of Jewish children, first across the U.S., and then moving to Israel, and then many countries around the world. And the Harold Greenspoon Foundation, established in Western Mass 20 years ago, came forth because in 2005, Harold Greenspoon met Dolly Parton by accident. And in 2005, he learned what Dolly Parton had already started to do with the Imagination Library. And he was so struck by her example that he decided to establish a foundation to hand out, to distribute free Jewish books to Jewish kids all over the country, and it mushroomed to such an extent, and they were getting contacts from all over the world, that he expanded the program. Of course, working with many other donors and organizers, but Harold Greenspoon, a Jewish grandpa from Western Mass, had his heart struck by Dolly Parton. And that's part of the story that Jewish people didn't know. And that's what I want us to know. How the power and the love and the magic and the miraculous touch of tzedakah from one person can touch and inspire and nourish the magic and the miraculousness and the touch and the heart and the soul of someone else. Let us think of tzedakah as being contagious. Let us think of tzedakah as being explosive in the very positive sense of the word. Let us think of tzedakah as influencing and expanding from one person to the next, literally crossing the face of the world. That's what I think about when I've been thinking about Dolly Parton and her touch the past few days since we learned of the loss of her life, but her soul will always remain, because in Jewish tradition we are taught that the soul is eternal. The spark that God shares with you and me and every one of us when we are born cannot be eradicated by time or by illness. That spark remains. It's the same spark that can ignite a spark within someone else to make the world ever brighter, just like Dolly Parton. And also Harold Greenspoon. God bless, is still with us. Our son David, who is very aware of everything in the world, shared with Minette and me yesterday a song, which we're going to share in just a minute for us to hear. Oh, you shared? I thought David sent it. Minette sent it to David, and I got it. I thought I got it from David. So this song is from Dolly Parton, and it's Alabama Sundown. Maybe you knew the song. I never heard of it until the past couple days. But I want you to listen to Alabama Sundown, because there's a little bit of a nice little surprise.
Sundown.
So we're part of her heart and we're part of her music. Elena, we rise, page 56. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kgoyei aratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים יוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו יודעת היום השבת אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. We may be seated in a moment on page 58, the Kaddish. And on this Shabbat, we remember with great love Pesha Rips, Chaim Gert, Ann Sussman, Pauline Marcus, Theodore Impastato, Gertrude Rips, Judy Dittman, Charles Weber, Mordechai Zaremba. That was the firstborn child of Mr. Zaremba and his first wife. Did you know Mr. Zaremba was married beforehand? And his wife and their 3 children were taken by the Nazis and they were destroyed. And Mr. Zaremba met and married Kayla in a DP camp near the end of the war. He and Kayla survived parallel lives. She had been married, no children yet then. Her husband was taken from her and destroyed by the Nazis. And they both went through parallel lives in concentration camps. They met after the war in a DP camp, and they married in a DP camp. And they came to Mobile because Kayla's 3rd cousin is Ethel Maisel. So Mordechai Zaremba is Mr. Zaremba's first son. We remember Samuel Sass, Rosalie Rosenthal, Peter Strensky, Harry Schreibman, Belle Gutel. Are there any other names to mention this evening? Perhaps somebody at home has a name to share as well and is invited to stand in his or her home along with us as we stand. And we remember all those lives who were stolen from us by Hamas on October 7th. Kaddish is on page number 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah be'olma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizaman kariv v'meru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba levarach la'alam olalmei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yimeru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. And return to page 59, nearly concluding the service. This psalm is recited between now and the middle of Sukkot, and it puts us in a certain frame. And if you look at, on page 59, the red transliteration, the song is Achat Sha'alti. It's found in the Hebrew side, those 3 lines of black, bold print, about 7, 8 lines down from the top of the page. If there was just one thing I could do, it would be a little bit closer to God. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Shivti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Lachazot b'noam Adonai, Olavaker b'heichalo. Lachazot b'noam Adonai, Olavaker b'heichalo. And the very last line on the English side, place your hope in Adonai, be strong and take courage, and place your hope in Adonai, which brings us back to the message of faith. And what faith really means is accepting the responsibility that you matter to the universe, accepting the notion that you are bigger than yourself. Shabbat Shalom. And to all those joining in, we hope to see you at some point. Please come back to the shul. Join us in community. You're in our thoughts, in our hearts, and our prayers. You are loved. May God bless you with shalom. Until we see you in person, Shabbat Shalom.